Now back to the Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
What a powerful and attractive man we have on our screen now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
How's that?
Very welcome.
Okay.
There we go. Awesome.
Okay.
Read my lips. I sent your publicist Tom an ad from Billboard for that yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Let me show it to him. Sorry, let me just show
I don't
him.
think I looked at.
He didn't look at his emails yet. Yes, here, I'll show you.
Here's my phone.
Yeah, I pulled that out of Billboard yesterday as a. It was from October of '84, I believe the ad was from.
Yeah.
Right.
I scanned it and I sent it over. I scanned it and sent it over to Tom.
And
Well, but what's weird about it is it says you'll laugh your lips off. It's not a comedy album.
Yeah.
But that's the ad. Did I send it to you too, Jeremy?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it's that's the actual ad that ran in Billboard. I believe it was October 12th or something like that of '84.
Yeah, it was fall. I remember.
So that had to be the record label's, marketing department to come up with that slogan.
Capital. Yeah.
What's funny is that it was on the pages right after the Hall & Oates Big Bam Boom release, and it's funny because Tom handles Daryl and Fee. So
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Our Jonathan Wolfson, our manager, is Hall & Oates manager also.
yeah,
No,
so it worked out.
Yeah.
Jeremy, lead us off.
Yeah, look, let's get right into this. A bunch of tour dates across America this summer. Also, Fee Waybill Rides Again, available now, which I want to talk all about. Of course, the classic tracks and everything. Really stoked to welcome to the show the one, the only, Fee Waybill from the Tubes. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. An absolute pleasure to have you. I mean, personally, having grown up in the 70s and 80s, hearing about the Tubes and seeing you on all the different shows, you just went, what is that?
No, was that a good reaction or?
Well, it was. Here, let me just start there, and then we'll move on from there. But your live shows were, it was the circus comes to town. At some point, did it become a distraction to the music, or did it enhance the spectacle?
Well, I think we were all about the art. And and Prairie was an artist, and I was an actor, and then we found Kenny Ortega, and then we found Jane Dornacher and Leela and the Snakes, and we had all of these artistic people, and we wanted to do a big show. We wanted costumes and sets. It did, I believe, end up taking away from the music because, in those early years, it was all about the big show, and our reputation was, oh my God, it's a live show that you will not, it makes Ringling Brothers look pathetic, and we didn't sell a lot of records because people would come to the show, and even though the musicians were exceptional, and we had great vocals, and we had great production, we had great guitar players, we had a great drummer, people, instead of buying the record when they went home that night, they developed their film from their little Kodak Instamat.
Oh man!
And so we never, while we were on an A&M for the first 5 albums, we never really sold a lot of records. It was just a huge. We were doing great live and had big. We would tour every year we'd go out in April and we'd tour until December nonstop. And live in a bus the entire year, and every year the show got bigger. We'd make more money, so we got more dancers, and we got a bigger show, and we decided we wanted to build a gigantic blue set that was all round, and the manager kept saying, "Round is not going to fit in the truck well." Well, we don't care. I don't care. So get another truck. Oh, okay. So
it's
we had
funny
another truck because the set was round and it wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because that's kind of what happened to Kiss. Nobody was buying their records, but everybody was going to see the show.
Right.
Well, let me ask you about that. What was that a reaction to Kiss and Alice Cooper and Screaming Jay Hawkins and David Bowie, or were you just, this is our vision and we don't care about those other people?
No, exactly. I love David Bowie. When I was young, I dyed my hair red and shaved my eyebrows off because I wanted to be like
That's a look.
And we loved all those theatrical. Genesis used to do a big show before Peter Gabriel left, and just with the whole idea of doing theatrics with the rock and roll was right where we were at. Like I said, Prairie was an artist. Mike was an artist. We did our own album covers. We made our own backdrops. We did, we made our own costumes. But
it was an extravaganza. I mean,
it was. And it's funny because Alice, is also, we were friends with Alice back in the old days. And Alice is from Phoenix also. Right. And when his name was Vince, okay, and he had a band in Phoenix called the Earwigs. And we used to see, and so we used to always say that, he was sending spies to our show to rip off our visual ideas. And he would say that we were sending spies to his show to rip off his visual ideas. And so it was kind of a running joke, who was original, who came up
stealing
with
from who. Yeah.
Yeah,
did you ever figure it out? Did you actually steal from them? Was there some?
No, and I'm sure that we never did, and I'm sure he never did. He didn't. He was doing great. He still does great, and we're close friends. And I go to Arizona to help him with his charity golf tournament, and then the summer Christmas show,
Christmas pudding.
Christmas pudding, right? And then the year before, when was it? We went to the UK opening for him. I think it was 2018, and played a bunch of, we played Wembley Arena and played a bunch of 30,000 seaters, opening for Alice. And a promoter, it's a good package, it's a visual theatrical extravaganza with the Tube and Alice. And so we've played with him quite a number of times over the years. And Shep and I are friends, and Alice and Cheryl and I are friends. And so it's all kind of there's not a lot of competition anymore. I don't.
It's just, Jeremy, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a Tubes at Winterland 1975 video out there which is spectacular. And there's just like naked ladies on stage, and they're charting their album sales on a graph. It's just completely ridiculous. But that's what you love about it. You love the ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. We used to do I remember at Winterland, we used to do a song called Wonder Bread Bodies. And I would come out all dressed in white, like a chef, and I'd have and I would go to the day old bakery store the day before the gig, and I would buy like 30 loaves of Wonder Bread that were all stale. And then during singing the song, I would be ripping open loaves of bread and wadding them up or frisbee sailing them out into the audience, and just the whole
like Rocky Horror Picture Show style.
Yeah, it was it became a crumb world, and then people would grab the bread and they would wad it up into balls and throw it back at us.
That's awesome.
But hey, that's what it was in the 70s. I mean, you just imagine, on Monday you see Kiss, on Tuesday you see Cooper, on Wednesday you see the Tubes, and then Saturday night you go to Bowie. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it seemed dangerous.
That was living.
It seamed fun. I mean, today rock bands, they're standing there shoegaze, or they're playing to their Pro Tools rig, and there's no spontaneity. Spontaneity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And we're going out in June finally. And we're going to do, I just came back from San Francisco. We rehearsed last week and with the band, and we're going to do our last tour. We did Completion Backward Principle album, top to bottom. And we were doing that in 2019, kind of when the pandemic hit, and 2020, no gigs at all. And then 2021, in like October, we went back east and did, I don't know, 10 or 15 shows. And then then Omicron hit. And then, so the whole thing shut down again. And then
the Delta Plus rewards variant hit. And it's like,
it's just one after the next. And so then we, we decided, well, I guess we have to stop doing completion backward, although I have all the costumes that are hardly worn. And so we decided last week that we're going to do outside inside this time.
Wow. Nice.
So we're going to play outside inside for this.
Inside out.
Yeah. That's actually pretty cool. Well, I want to talk about those records really quickly because, those were the first records that you started to work with David Foster, who, I mean, the dude's just all over the map. I mean, he was basically the Mutt Lange for a lot of pop and R&B artists, and then he comes in and does the rock record with you. Was it just a marriage of musicality from the beginning, or was it difficult to work with David?
Well, it was that first record, Completion Backward, is my favorite record, and it was at that point we had been released from A&M, and the people at Capitol came to us and said, we have this guy that would be great for you, and we really need you to become more popular and get on the radio and sell some records.
That would help.
And so we think David Foster could do this for you. And he had never done, at this point, he had never done a rock and roll record. He was all strictly R&B. He had just finished Boogie Wonderland with Earth, Wind and Fire. And we were huge fans of Earth, Wind and Fire, and we were always kind of loved the R&B kind of genre, and we couldn't, we're a rock band. We couldn't really incorporate it. And he kind of helped us do that. And he came and I think, he came up to our studio in San Francisco, and we started playing songs for him.
While you're paused on that, your famous quote about David Foster is, "David Foster changed our world."
Yeah.
Fair to say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He completely changed our world. I mean, he would sit down, we would play him a song, and then he would kind of learn the chords, and he would sit down at the piano, and he'll kind of go, well, what if you did this? And he go, no, put it in a modulation, and boom, the whole thing paid off. He used to always say, it's got to pay off.
So he's a very hands-on guy.
Pay off.
Yeah.
And his arrangement expertise was just off the chart, and he would, like Amnesia or Don't Want to Wait Anymore, or we were just kind of stunned, and he's just so brilliant. And the one thing though is he doesn't have a lot of détente, I guess, when it comes to working with bands. And and the same kind of thing happened. I don't know if you saw his documentary, but the same kind of thing happened with Chicago. He kind of alienated the band, went straight for Peter Cetera and started writing songs with Peter Cetera, and the band kind of went, well, what do you mean? And which was the same thing that happened to us. He kind of, if the band came in and they were too hungover from the night before, he'd just go, okay, go home. Mm-hmm. And he'd get another bass player or Steve Lukather. Like it all started with at the end of Completion Backward, he goes, the record company wanted a ballad. Big power ballads were happening in early 80s.
Yeah.
Journey had a big hit, and REO Speedwagon, and After the Love Is Gone went to number one. And she said, okay, well, we've got the ballad. And interesting story about that. I'll get back to that. But he says, we got to have a rock song. We don't have a rock song. So he said, why don't he tells me, come to the studio. We're booked in at a studio here in LA to start at 4:00. I think we were working 4 to midnight or something PM. And he said, come in at 10. And I've got a friend that's going to come in and join us, and we'll see if we can write a song. And I said, oh, okay. So I came in at 10, and Steve Lukather shows up. And
I did. Steve.
Yeah. Steve is the best. And he was at the time like the number one session guy in LA, and Foster had used him on other sessions in the past. And he said, this guy's really quick. He's a great writer. And we wrote Talk to You Later in 10 minutes.
Wow.
And Luke sat right down and just started going, instantly, and I'm scrambling to try to write lyrics. And then we call Prairie in, we put on the drum kit. Luke does the rhythm guitar, he does the bass, I sing all the background vocals. Right. And then when the band shows up at 4:00, we've got a finished song. And of course, they were not all that happy about it.
But isn't that what a good producer does? I mean, you look at Bob Ezrin, he's got Dick Wagner, he's got Steve Hunter, you look at who Mutt Lange brings in, everybody has their guys. And that's sort of their job. The record company's like, listen, we got a budget. Let's get this done. And they bring in their guys. I mean, that's...
Right, exactly. That's what happened. And it was kind of any means to get to the end. Mm-hmm. You know? And that's how he kind of, we did that. Talk to You Later was a big hit. And went to number one in like 17 countries or something. It was never actually a single in the United States, but it was on number one on the rock chart at Billboard. Wow. And then we did. Then the next record, Outside Inside, same thing. He said, "Okay, let's meet with Lukather," and we wrote "She's a Beauty" in 15 minutes. And so the band is even more. Butthurt, we used to say butthurt.
they're totally butthurt.
Their pride was injured. And I can understand that. I totally understand that. And then
we'll say this, She's a Beauty is the only Tubes video that has 10 million views. So David was right.
It went to number 2.
Yeah.
And I bought the Billboard T-shirt that said number 1 with a bullet. Never got to wear it.
Damn.
I still have it. It's in the drawer. I look at it every now and then. But
talking about Steve Lukather, fast forward, to Read My Lips, you work with Steve on basically that entire record. And I was just talking to Tommy Denander earlier today, and he was like, that Read My Lips album is like my Desert Island album. He's like, Michael Lando and Steve Lukather, they were on fire.
Don't forget Jerry. Jerry played with Peter Gabriel. Can't forget Jerry on drums.
Oh, yeah. Jerry Marotta.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where I found him. We did in 1983, when She's a Beauty was a big hit, we did a world tour with Bowie. Peter Gabriel was the opening act, and then the Tubes, and then Bowie. And it was a Serious Moonlight tour. Yep. And we played... every night was a football stadium. Every night,
Olympic Stadium in Montreal.
Yeah, 75,000 people. Yep. And we played actually Canadian football stadiums all the way across Canada to Vancouver, and then down the West Coast. And that's where I saw. I watched. I was a big Peter Gabriel fan, obviously, even from Genesis, and I saw Jerry playing every night. And then when I went to do the solo album, I called him up and I said, dude, come and play on my solo record. And I also had Jeff Porcaro on that record, and he was great. Yeah. And I think John Robinson also played on that record. I don't know. That wasn't. But what happened was, and the same thing, but different result happened with Chicago. Was we get to do the third record, and David Foster says, well, we've had big hits here with writing with me and Luke and Fee, and so we want to do a whole side of just us, and you guys can do whatever you want, Oh, and the band just flipped out and went, no, dude, we're a band, you can't do that, and so they shot down David Foster for the third album. And whereas he did the same thing to Chicago, only Chicago didn't shoot him down. Chicago just backed off and let him do his thing. And that record sold, they went from selling 50,000 albums to 7 million. you know.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, Kiss and Bob Ezrin, Peter Gabriel and Bob Ezrin, Pink Floyd and Bob Ezrin. I mean,
I know.
that's why you pay those guys the money, because they know what they're doing. So sometimes you just got to, excuse the language, you just got to shut up and do it.
I know you have to just swallow your pride, but
Yeah.
we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't. And that's what ended up, and I flipped out. And that was kind of, they went back to Todd Rundgren, who had done the last record on A&M, Remote Control, to do Love Bomb, the third record on Capitol, which was a disaster. And Capitol released us, and I quit. I told them, I said, you can't do this. He's the greatest guy we've ever worked with, and I'm going to quit the band and they went, yeah, right. I don't think so. and so they went ahead and boosted him. And then at the end of that Love Bomb tour, I left. I said, okay, well, I told you I'm leaving. And so I left the band and moved to LA, and which is where I still live here. Yeah. And then I mean, it's funny how things happen, but I had met Richard Marx in a session doing Outside Inside, recording She's a Beauty, actually. And he said, hey, let's write some songs. I'm a songwriter. I'm trying to play songs with other artists. And I went, oh, okay. And so I wrote, he said, I love your lyrics. And so I wrote some songs with him, and we got some songs, we wrote a -- song for Vixen.
Yeah, Edge of a Broken Heart. Come on. You can't beat that.
And so no, I was in heaven. I was living in LA in a little crappy apartment, just pretty much hanging around waiting for the mailman to show up with a publishing check.
Wow.
And then Richard said, well, I think I want to be an artist. And so he got himself a deal at Manhattan. And then I wrote a whole bunch more songs with him for all of his records. His first record sold 3 million albums. And and actually we've been best friends now for 39 years.
Good.
Wow.
We've been best friends, and I've written with him forever and on every record. And he moved out here. He lives in the Valley now. He lives out here in Los Angeles. And I just saw him last week, actually. Went for a big hike together. He lives in the hills out in the Valley, and he's with Daisy Fuentes, and she's a sweetheart. And my wife Elizabeth and Daisy get along really well, and so we hang out. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And then obviously history continues, and we got back together. The Tubes got back together about 94, so about 8 years later. And they called me up and said, you want to get back in the band? And we got an offer we were pretty big time in Europe and the UK. And we got an offer from a German promoter that said, I have a tour for you in 94, and we've got 65 shows. But only if Fee is in the band. And so they called me up.
The power of Fee.
Yeah, the power of Fee. And he said, if you want to get in the band, we got this huge tour offer. And I said, yeah, okay. I think I'm kind of my anger is kind of worn away after 8 years.
Was there a little more gloating to it than that, though? Was there like, oh, really?
It came crawling back to you.
You need me now?
Really? Really? Okay. And so we got back together, and gosh, it's been now what? It's been 28 years on the second time around.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
And
Rides Again.
Yeah, we have a great time when we play, and it's not like it's not like I call up and talk to them every day and hang out or anything. I mean, they all still live up north, and I live in LA. So, but there's something magic that happens, and I can't really explain it, but when we all get together and we start to play, something magical happens. And
chemistry.
It's chemistry. Yeah. And, the dopamine starts flowing, and I get the Quaaludes big shoes out, and we're off.
Does David Foster get a laminate for any show that he wants to, or is that still a matter of discussion with the band?
No, I'm cool with David. He can come on by anytime.
There we go.
He lives in LA. I saw him just the other day. Where did I see him? At a restaurant, I think. Craig's, some restaurant in LA. I saw him at a restaurant with his fifth wife.
Something like that.
I can't keep track. I don't know.
Actually, speaking of Craig's, I've always wanted to go. Is it good?
Oh yeah, he was the chef for, the story, right? He was the chef from Dantana.
Oh, really?
And bailed and started his own restaurant. It's great. Yeah. Although I like Dantana better. That's our kind of go-to restaurant. It's right down the hill from us. Oh, okay. I like Dantana a lot.
Wow.
Just real quick, talking about Richard Marx, and you're essentially a love affair of nearly 40 years. you got the new record.
Right. He and I wrote my latest solo album.
Right. Yeah. Waybill Rides Again.
And we started that record, maybe like 2014 or something. He used to live in Chicago, and I used to go to Chicago, and he has 3 sons, right? You know that. Mm-hmm. Jesse, Lucas, and Brandon, and who are all my godsons. And so when they were kids, for years, every summer I'd go to Chicago and we do a boys' trip. And
nice.
Most of the time we get in the car. They had a cabin. His father had a cabin in Minocqua, Wisconsin, which is way up in the north woods of Wisconsin.
Right.
And we would drive up to the cabin with the boys and just curse all the way up there. And nice. they weren't allowed to curse at home because, their Cindy wouldn't handle it. And so I said, okay, well, we can curse all the way. Just don't tell your mother, but you can curse all the way up there. And, it was really great. And then, so we would go up there for a week and hang out in Minocqua and go horseback riding and go-karting and fishing. And, we would just do this boys trip every year. And as they got older, we kind of did more, we did like whitewater rafting one summer, and we did, different things. And so finally I came up for the summer of 2013 for our boys trip, ostensibly. And the boys kind of went, I kind of want to hang out with my girlfriend. Okay. I don't want to go. And then the other boy went, well, I just got a girlfriend too. And we want to go to the drive-in. So the whole thing really shot down. Right. Yeah. They're all too busy to go hang out.
They grew up, basically.
Oh, yeah, that's what happens.
They didn't want to hang with Uncle Fee. Yeah. And so Richard said, well, let's go. He had a studio there at his house. And he said, let's go in the studio and write a song. Let's hold on.
Oh, there's the horses from the lake right now.
Yeah, they're coming in, stomping in.
That's my horsey ring because I have 4 horses. I'm a polo player. And so I play polo on the weekends with my horses.
Oh, nice.
So you're writing the song with Richard.
So we go to the studio and he says, let's write a song. Let's do a solo album for you. You haven't done, because he was involved in my second solo album, which was Don't Be Scared by These Hands. Right. And he and Bruce Geitch kind of co-produced that here in LA. Yeah. He said, let's write another record. And I said, oh, okay, great. Okay. And so we went and we wrote 4 songs on that trip. Faker, Woulda, Shoulda, Coulda, Promised Land, and
Still You on the Inside?
No,
Meant to Be Alone?
Meant to Be, no, I can't remember. How Dare You?
There you go.
Oh, okay.
And Still You on the Inside was a song that I didn't write. That was him and
Nickelback
Kroger
and
Kroger.
Chris Daughtry. Yeah.
Yeah, they wrote it for Chris Daughtry and submitted it to him, and Chris Daughtry went, "No, I don't think so." And I just, I had listened. He always sends me the tunes he writes, and the tune, and with Chad doing the demo on this, and oh my God, I just flipped out. I loved it so much, and so when so later we had these 4 songs in the can, and then we didn't get back together again until, gosh, I think like 4 years later, 2018, 2017 or something. And I think it was 2018. And we said, well, let's go do it. Let's find some other songs. Let's finish this off. And this was after he had moved to LA. And so we started looking around for songs, and I said, well, I want to do Still You on the Inside. And then there was the other song, Say Goodbye, was a ballad that I wrote for him, and he never put it on a record. He's got a buttload of ballads.
Right. I mean, he was the ballad master at one point.
The ballad king, exactly. And he never managed to fit that in. So I said, I want to do that one. And then we wrote a couple brand new, Don't Pull the Trigger, Don't Want to Pull the Trigger, we wrote, and Meant to Be Alone, we wrote. And then the other song, Man of the World. He sent me this. He goes, I found this track and I really like it, and I don't know what it's from. And he sent it to me, and I went, gosh, I think I kind of remember this song, but I don't know. And so I started looking through my computer at my list of lyrics. Mm-hmm. And I have a whole folder of lyrics, some that never got made and some that I did in the poetry book and all, And so I put the track on, and then I would go starting with A, and I look at, okay, this song, does it fit in the spaces of the melody line of the instrumental track? No. And then another song, no, nothing again. And so I got all the way to M. And when I played Man of the World, I had already written the lyrics and completely forgot about it. I played Man of the World, and I went, oh, well, that's it. There it is. That's amazing. Right in there. That fits in those holes.
Yeah.
And so we went to the studio, and we put in that song. And so little by little, it took 6 years to get it done, and then we're all ready to go. And pandemic. Yeah. We're in like March of 2020, and pandemic. Great. What else? And so I went, well, screw it. Let's do it anyway. Everybody, now you're quarantined.
What do you got to lose?
Looking for new music. And, so we went ahead and did it anyway. So.
Which is smart, because so the album comes out in July of 2020, and what I find interesting is that a lot of bands delayed, and I was sitting there going, but everybody's sitting at home. They need something to do. Yeah. This is the perfect time. You go, I know people can't listen to albums anymore because they're too busy. They weren't in 2020. And then,
busy. No.
Nobody was busy.
A lot of them changed their mind and turned around and started releasing records.
Yeah, but the bands I liked all decided to wait till 2021, and I was like, Jesus, just put it out.
Yeah.
God.
And then anyway. 2021, there's still another pandemic, and then another pandemic, and then
yeah.
So, you can't sit around and wait. And what do we got now? Now we got a war, and we're all on the edge of nuclear disaster, right?
Right.
You're going to wait till after that happens? Yeah.
It's going to be sitting on a hard drive collecting dust. We're all just dust too.
I don't think so.
I think quickly talk to me about these shows with the B-52s, because that's another one that, from my youth, that's disappearing. We love Love Shack and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Lobster.
Lobster, and you hear Farewell Tour, and you go, oh, come on, just keep playing. But talk to me about, are you doing a Farewell Tour as well, or that's not on your agenda?
No, well, we're gonna say farewell to her, then we're gonna do that about 10 times.
Yeah, as you should.
That's the way to do it, really.
We're not going. We're not.
Hey,
we're not,
the
we're just
Who's
saying
farewell
how-
tour was 1982. We'll just leave it at that. Right? The Who went on our farewell tour in 1982. Ozzy's No More Tour with 1992. So
Yeah, and Kiss did the same thing, right?
Kiss did it in 2000.
The farewell tour. I don't know.
Phil Collins did a couple, and then he came back and did the I'm Not Dead Yet tour. I mean, everybody does it.
Yeah. Hey, Shania Twain did it in 2015. Then she did a residency, and then went on tour, and then did a residency. I mean,
Yeah. Tom Brady retired.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I don't know. I couldn't tell you if this is their farewell tour or not. They're doing a bunch of shows, a lot of shows with Casey and the Sunshine Band.
That's fun.
Yeah. And then
Shake your booty.
yeah. And then a bunch and a few, I don't know. I think we're up to 4 or 5 shows now with us.
Yeah.
We're playing San Francisco with them, and I don't know. Maybe they did. It's all analytics, sound scan, and regional popularity, and number of tickets potentially able to be sold in this market. And
even AI is deciding who's getting to play shows these days.
I know, but it is listed on Ticketmaster as the B-52's farewell tour. So
yeah, that's what they're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, more power to them. You know, if they can milk it for 2 or 3 more years, more power to them. You know, I always liked them. I've never seen them live though, so it's going to be kind of interesting to play with them and
Get to be on the road with them. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Fee Waybill Rides Again. You can pick up the record right now. It's available where you get music. Also hitting the road this summer. Real quick before we wrap up, my buddy Adam Quilty wanted me to ask you about making the Fabulous Stains with Steve Jones and Paul Cook.
Oh my God. That was, and Paul Simonon and Ray Winston, who has become, a big time heavy actor. He was in Sexy Beast and, all these major heavy. Oh God, it was such a clusterfuck. Unbelievable. We're in Vancouver, right? Yeah. And the woman that wrote the script would try to rehearse dialogue with us, and these guys, every other word was fuck. She ended up leaving the project, the writer, because they wouldn't say what she wanted them to say.
Oh,
God. And just cash your check. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, really. And we used to, and Lou was such a cool guy, and we used to hang after, he'd break out joints after the gig was over that day, and we'd hang. And One day he rented a private plane, and we flew to Seattle, and we met Jack Nicholson to sit on the bench at the Lakers game at the Supersonics.
Nice.
Damn.
That's living right there.
Oh God, it was. And then we went to a restaurant that closed for us, and sat there with Jack and had dinner and with Lou and smoked pot there.
Nice.
And, we had a great time, and we had a funny story with that. If you have time,
yeah, absolutely.
There's a scene in the movie where, I'm Lou Corpse, of the lead singer of the Metal Corpses, and Vince Welnick, our dear departed Vince, played the lead guitar player. So obviously it's all on track. And we wrote that song, Roadmap of My Tears. And so the scene is we're supposed to be in this little club, and we want to score Coke from the local Coke dealer, right? In the scene. And so, the guy playing the Coke dealer was a Canadian, because in Canada, you have to hire something, 30% of your cast.
Yeah, the CanCon. It's got to be Canadian content.
Canadian content rules. That's right.
Right. So we rehearse, and we're using this inositol, remember, baby laxative. And so he goes, so we're rehearsing, and and so okay, we're ready to shoot it. And so the Canadian dealer guy, takes the bindle of inositol and he goes, I'm not snorting any more of this crap. And he whipped out his own, and it turns out the guy's a coke dealer.
He's an actual coke dealer.
An actual coke dealer, and he's got bindles of coke. So, and I, at this point in 1980, I quit doing cocaine in like 73. It was not my drug. Yeah. It was not good for my voice. It was not good for my psyche. I was a pot smoker. That's it. I didn't deal. I didn't do anything else. Right. And so this guy whips out this bindle of real cocaine, and we do the scene, and we're snorting real coke in the scene. And,
that's amazing.
And they want to, we just got me and Vince and this guy, and we're just getting blitzed, and they want to do this point of view and that point of view and the master shot point of. We did like 10 takes.
Oh man.
Oh,
and you guys are just wired on the set.
And we're just
definite white punks on dope right there.
Is going, and we're trying to remember lines, and oh God, and so the guy runs out of coke. We have one more shot to do.
Oh no!
The guy runs out of coke, and I'm going, well. And he goes, oh, wait. And he goes out and he comes back. He goes, oh, I scored another bindle. So he's got like his guys are like down the street waiting for him to come and, resupply himself.
Yeah.
In case he's going to like sell coke to the whole cast or something.
Right. Yeah. He had the plug down the road.
I don't know.
That's perfect. You sit in the car at the corner. I'll come out when I need you.
It's hilarious when I've seen the movie quite a few times, and it actually didn't get released because of all the fucks. There was like 100. Paramount didn't want to release it because of the language from Paul and Steve, and
that's amazing.
Yeah, it is, because now you listen to the rap channels on Sirius, and there's 100 fucks every 4 minutes. So
I know. Exactly. And Steve, I still know Steve. He's got a radio show here in L.A. I don't know if you knew
Jonesy's Jukebox.
Jonesy's Jukebox, yeah. Yep. And so he's still around, and he's still playing songs. And I've done his show a couple of times, and he's a real cool guy. And I guess they're having a big, freak out with the ownership or something with the
I don't
Johnny
know
Butler, Johnny Broughton, and I don't
oh yeah, there's lawsuits going on.
Yeah, they're always fighting about stuff though. So.
They're always fighting about something, but anyway, that was fun, that movie. And what's her name, Laura Dern, that was her first movie, and she had like the Stains, those three girls, Laura and Marin Cantor and God, what was her name? The lead girl.
I can't remember her name.
Diane Lane. And she was gorgeous. And she was walking around on the set the whole time with like a see-through top on, and everybody on the set was just in love with her, trying to hook up with her, and she's, I don't put out. That was a deal in the movie. I don't put out, and she didn't.
Wow, played hard to get.
Nice.
It was. We were there for about a month. It was really fun. It was fun. There's a little mountain in Vancouver, just like a half an hour away. You can drive up the mountain and go skiing. Mm-hmm. And I think it was winter when we were doing it, because I did it. I went up and went skiing. It was
probably
really
Whistler. Isn't that Whistler, Mitch?
No, Whistler is Grouse. I think it's called Grouse Mountain. It's a little dinky one-run mountain. There's one chair and one run. Whistler is kind of way up farther to the north, and it's a great big resort with a ton of lifts and stuff. So
yeah, it's like a proper destination.
Yeah, this Grouse Mountain was like the local go for wake up, go for lunch.
Since we're talking about this, Adam also wanted me to ask you about SCTV with John Candy and the fishing musician. You got any tales about that?
Oh my God. In fact, I just saw Catherine O'Hara not too long ago at a Harry Shearer did this kind of spoof thing.
Okay. It wasn't Spinal Tap.
A Spinal Tap thing, yes, from his Spinal Tap character. And I saw her there here in LA. But because we did Talk to You Later, I think, on Lola Heatherton on her bit for the SCTV show. But John Candy, we were going to do The Fishing Musician with John Candy, and we were up there in Edmonton, and we were at a hotel, and they said, okay, well, we'll come by tomorrow morning, and we're going to drive out to this lake that's about an hour outside of town, and we're going to shoot the video for it. Yeah. And so we said, okay. And so it's 6:00. We're going to leave at 6, and we're going to shoot all day. And, John will pick. And so the limo shows up at 6:00. And in the back of the limo is John Candy with a gigantic bag of weed and a case of beer. And he's already opened both the bag of weed and the case of beer. So we're smoking dope and driving and drinking beer and driving out to the lake. And the whole way, and so we get in the boats, and we're like pulling up boots on, in various, and then we get into the cabin where we're supposed to play Sushi Girl, and they've got a big pile of fish, gutted trout and rice, a big pile of, and I'm going, well, and he's supposed to sit down, and we're supposed to have like a little chat with him. I said, well, is there, what's the deal? Is there a script or anything? He goes, no, we don't need a script. We're going to ad lib.
So it was all improv.
And the whole day was ad lib. There's no script. There's no plan. There's no nothing. Okay, go play Sushi Girl, and then come back and sit there, and he starts to talk. I mean, the guy was incredible.
That's amazing.
Was so brilliant. And there was not a single thing written down that was scheduled. It was just whatever.
Yeah, those are probably the situations where the most creative stuff comes out, though, because it's all just, off the cuff.
It's just off the cuff, yeah. And he was so brilliant that way that I guess they figured, well, it's John Candy, and the guy's brilliant, so we'll just let him go.
Let him run.
Let him fly.
Yeah,
so that was really fun.
Those are great tales, man. Jeez. I love the fact that you had a Coke dealer playing a Coke dealer.
And we didn't know until he throws away the bindle of inositol and goes, no, I'm not certain. No.
We're going to do the real shit.
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
Well,
that was the last time. That was 1980. So that was 42 years ago. That was the last time I snorted Coke.
Wow.
Well, it's probably for the best because the Coke is terrible these days.
God. I wouldn't know. Yeah. I want to ask you one question. I see all over your biographies and profiles that you worked with Bryan Adams, but I've tried to figure out what album, what song, and I can't find it. Is that?
I never worked with Bryan Adams.
Yeah, okay, because it says here over here.
I don't know where that came from. I have no idea where it came from, but it's not true.
Yeah, okay, that's what I figured. So I did all the research, and I could not find it. And I was like,
it's not out there. I never produced anything for Bryan Adams or worked with him at all. I've never even met the guy. He's a Canadian. What? I'm not going to Canada to see him. Sorry.
But you would love to work with Bryan because he's a big talent. But
well, I would actually. We were at an agency a while back, years ago. We were at some agency, Patriot or something, and he was on that, and they said he doesn't ever want to tour. He's not touring. And so I can't remember the last time I saw an ad for a Bryan Adams tour. So
he actually tours a lot. He's on tour right now in Europe. He just put out a new record, recollabed with Mutt Lange, and it's phenomenal.
Well, he just doesn't tour in the States. It's amazing that Bryan Adams, for all the success, can't really fill seats in the States. He just can't.
Yeah. With all those hits, it's crazy. The
Yeah.
Summer of '69. Oh, I love that song.
When he goes
It's a
to
great
Europe
song.
and South America, and he sells out arenas.
Yeah, but in the States, one of the last tours was opening for Def Leppard last year, or during the pandemic. He was supposed to go open for Bon Jovi, and yet he goes over to England, and he's headlining Wembley. So you figure out that math. I can't.
I don't know.
But it's just funny because I was researching stuff and I was looking at other interviews and other print stuff, and it says Fee Waybill, blah, 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 Waybill has worked with Bryan Adams, and Fee has worked with Bryan Adams, and he's produced. And I was like, I'm a Bryan Adams fan. No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
And so I tried to research it, and
I
it comes up zero.
keep saying that, and every time they say it, I went, no, that's not true. I don't know the guy. Never worked with him. Love to, but never.
So we'll throw the invitation out there for Bryan.
Right.
Yeah, it
Right.
confused me because I have every album. I've followed his career since '84.
Oh.
I'm like, I don't remember Fee working with him. I'm sorry, but but okay. Who knows? Maybe it was a soundtrack somewhere. But all right, there you go. Thank you, sir. That was a
thanks
great
a lot.
pleasure.
Oh, I had a great time. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. It was really cool.